Hey guys, William Murphy here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode on Luke's Classic Mini. Right, so lots to do today. As always, the plan for today's video is to try and get the car back on the ground. It will have to get back up in the air because I'm not particularly happy with the length of the wheel studs. I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, I need to get all the stuff from underneath the car out, which is going to contain a lot of metal and grinding and stuff like that. So that's where we're going to go. I want to get the car down on the ground just to check the ride height. Probably not 100% because I'm not going to take the car off the front, but I want to get the back on the ground so that I can weld the floor in. It's now Thursday. I want to try and get Luke's car back as soon as possible, so I've got so much still to do, and only like an hour a day to do it, so let's get cracking.
I know you don't love me like you say you do.
Okay, so in the last episode I put the wheel on, but in this episode I've taken it back off. And the reason is that I'm not particularly happy about the length of the studs that are sticking out of the drum. Now with the drum fully seated and the wheel studs on, it's only really going into like the tip, so by the time you put the wheel on, there's hardly any thread that's going into the stud. So I would like to get some longer wheel studs for it, just to make sure that it's safe, because the worst thing to happen is I go through all this work and palaver to get this job done, and then the wheel falls off or something like that because it's not gripped enough. So I don't want that to happen. But while we're here, this is all the stuff that's got to go. So lots to do. So I'm going to take the drum off, measure the length of the studs, and then go for an extra 10 mil or so. I've got obviously a lot of the stud to work with. And if I put it like that, for example, I've got until pretty much the end of the flat section to fill. So yeah, I want to be safer than sorry. And yeah, so that's the job. The other thing I've got to do is on the other side, I haven't got a split pin in the handbrake quadrant pin, so that's something I've got to do. So I've got that to do, and yeah, just get the car down on the wheels, and then we can look at the floor inside. So let's get going. Right, that's a bit better, isn't it? Not perfect, but yeah. That is all the metal that was cut from the car, and all the grinding discs and cutting discs. And this is all the, it's like cutting dust, isn't it? So this is all like metal filings, metal particulate and stuff. So everything that came off the car is now in this bucket. So that needs to be disposed of. But I can pretty much at a point now where I could get the car off the ramps. So next step, put this wheel back on, tighten it back up with the 3 studs as best as I can, just adjust that brake a little bit, and then I can get it off these axle stands, lower the car onto the floor. I should be able to see the ride height. Luke's hoping for a nice tuck in the arch. I'm not convinced it's going to be 100% accurate with the front wheel still jacked up, but we're going to get a rough idea where it's going to be, and it needs to be adjusted anyway. So yeah, that's the next thing to do. Car on the ground. Okay, exciting times. So the back wheel's on the floor. I kind of forget how little these cars are, because that's the waist is here. Anyway, yeah, back wheel's on the floor, which means that I can now turn my attention to this. So this is the part of the floor that's going to get cut out. I wanted to leave it because, well, you can see the floor's just pinged back out anyway, so I wanted to leave it because of that, and to make sure that obviously it's going to be plenty strong enough. So where the lines are cut, that's where I'm going to put the panel. The panel is here. That's what it's going to look like in the end. All the seams nicely joined up, and yeah, with this bit here done, see there's a hole just at the back where I've drilled a hole that needs to be plugged up, and the holes in the rear seat need to be filled with the bungs, and I think we're okay. I've just felt the sudden urge of having a headache. Well, not urge, but like sensation of having a headache. And I've got a bit of a whiff. And I looked under the car to see that the fuel pipe's pissing out. So first job is to get rid of the fuel from that pipe, because I do not want that catching alight. So down the back of the engine, this bit at the end of my finger is the fuel pump, and then you've got the pipe going this way, which goes onto the carburetor up here, and then you've got the pipe going that way, which goes underneath the car and it runs all the way to the back. So I'm going to undo it here and then just pull it through. Right, well, that was a bit grim. So the fuel pump's now out. The fuel pump itself was cracked in various places, so I'm really glad I'm changing that. But in order to get it out, it just leaked fuel everywhere, and it's surprising how much a little tiny pipe like that can hold. So I need to just spray some brake cleaner on the floor just to try and kill the sort of the petrol. That's the plan. Kind of run out of time for today, but I'll be back in the garage tomorrow, and I'll continue this video. So see you tomorrow. Right, another day. So I was thinking about this last night, and I'm not going to move the car. I'm just going to struggle through this gap, because I think taking the time to get the car off the ramps, moving it across, jacking it back up, I think my time's better off spent in just getting on with the job. So today, my plan is to cut this panel out and then tack it in. So I've got an hour, let's get on with it. Right, it's not quite finished. I need to just trim this edge bit here. You can see there's like a raised lip just here, so there's obviously had a floor at some point. So just take that off, and hopefully this panel below, ow, that's really hot, will be able to come through. But there's so much more strength in this. Now, the panel itself had split across here, and it was also a hole here and a split, so there's no kind of strength in it, and it needs to have the strength all the way along to be able to hold it up. So it's been plug welded and then seam welded all along. I'm going to grind it down, but obviously that'll be tomorrow, and hopefully be able to finish this. Get the car up in the air. I'll take the jack from that side of the wheel and put it on that side, lift the driver's side up, and I'm about to get underneath and then weld up this, and then the grind the wheels down, seam seal it, paint it, weld the outer seal on, and then that side is done. And I'm hoping that is the welding complete, fingers crossed. Right, I've got about 3 hours in the garage today. So first of all, I've jacked up the back of the car. The car is now sort of leaning onto its side. The passenger side is completely on the floor, driver's side in the air. Now the reason for this is that I can get underneath and I can weld up the floor. I can obviously grind it down, seam weld all this, so that is then welded on top and bottom. It makes it easier to try and grind it up as well. And then once that's done, I'll say grind it down, seam weld it, paint the floor. I'm going to just make sure I seam weld the inside of the underneath the floor, sorry, because I didn't do that last time round. Then once that's dry, I can put on the outer seal. I'm hoping to be able to do that today, but who knows. Then tomorrow morning I'm back in the garage. I've got loads to do. If I don't get to the seal done today, it's not the end of the world, but I'd really like to get that floor in, welded and flush, so I can get cracking on tomorrow. So there's no point talking about this, let's just get on and do the work. Right, it's a little while later, and it's gone dark very quickly this evening. So the floor is welded up now, and it's nice and secure. Let's just put this up here a second. So yeah, absolutely 110% solid. The rear floor no longer bows as much. I mean, there's still a bit of a bow in it, but it doesn't sort of flex. Before it was like really flexing. Ow, that's hot. While I welded it up, I ground it flat, and then I've just gone over, you can see like here and just a few spots, sort of slightly bigger welds where I ground back maybe too far. But yes. But while I've been doing this, I've noticed one other thing, which is a bit of a shame because it means a little bit more welding. But just here. Now this is a crack across the exhaust tunnel, and typically it's caused by yanking on the handbrake and forcing this down, and it flexes and it splits. So massive shame really, but what I'm going to do is cut out a sliver and I'm going to weld the new panel in. Bit gutted about that because it means more welding. But I'm going to have to sort of call it a day soon because I'm running out of, well, I ran out of light, and the family will be home soon, and I've got half a day in here tomorrow, and yeah, I don't want to take the mickey really, so I'm going to call it a day and then come back tomorrow. I've got, well, depending on what time I get in here in the morning, I've got till from then until whenever I'll be going to my parents tomorrow for lunch, so I've probably got a couple of hours, you know, well, I say a good few hours really. Maybe from whatever time I get up, I'm going to try and set my alarm for early, come in here, get the quiet jobs done until about 9 o'clock, bust out the grinder and crack on. Ideally, I could do with just grinding down the section of outer seal, tacking the outer seal on, and tomorrow morning weld the outer seal in, grind down the welds, and then that sort of that part done as well. So I think I'll do that now before I go in, and then once that's done, then that's a huge step in the right direction anyway. So yes, there's not a lot of filming done today because it's really dark. I'm just so nervous about damaging this camera. You can see there's marks all over the lens of it still. I haven't changed the cover just yet because I'm still going at it. But yeah, I'll see some more tomorrow, I promise. So I'll see you in the morning.